Hello. Good evening. And welcome back to another read-through of Alara Unbroken. Let's see, are these chapters numbered? These chapters are not numbered, no. But we last left off on page 94. We were just about to start another look into Jund to see what the fuck was going on. But first, we need to sort this playlist into some RuneScape. Run escape. There we are. Okay. Now. Signal's good. Let's see what we can get for a visualizer. Once I open the mini player, so I can have a little better control of the music off the scenes or whatever the fuck. So we're on Jund. Let's see. Rafik had just caught up with Hazid, who was responsible for causing this giant spire to just destroy either a city or a castle. I forget which one. Rafik has found him. And decides to go quietly for now, but Hazid's thought in the moment was that this man needs to die. Anyway, we return to Jund. So we're gonna pop open some Jund, baby. Okay, let's see. Where am I? Jund panorama. Come on. Come on. Come on. Ooh, poppy fingers. Okay. Now. Oh. I'm also drinking what's become like a really good great go-to when it comes to actually drinking water, which is Liquid Death's Grapefruit flavored sparkling water, which is a grapefruit flavor, but like the water seems to like rein in the normally super sour grapefruit flavor into just a very nice sweet flavor, and it's fucking amazing. This ruthless tall boy of flavored sparkling water has a twisted plan to use natural agave and exploding bubbles to murder your thirst and recycle your soul. God bless Jacksepticeye for this. This is so good. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. So I'm actually drinking water this time. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, let's do something a little more serious than this. There we go. Let's actually have Gengar in my lap this time. Because the past couple of streams I haven't had him in my lap because it's been too hot. Because despite being the middle of fucking December, it's fluctuated between 30 degrees and 70. It's absurd. Anyway, Jund. There was no warning, no sense of transition. Ajani was no longer in Jazal's cavern and no longer hanging in space. He was no longer breathing the smoke of the torches outside his brother's lair. Ah yes, when we last left Ajani, he was racked mentally by the sudden realization of the death of his brother Jazal, which activated his Planeswalker spark which caused him to suddenly shoot into the blind eternities, which is essentially space. And then he finds himself on Jund, miraculously. He was no longer breathing the smoke of the torches outside his brother's lair. The light had changed. He was outdoors, and the sky was a burnt orange. The air had changed. It was dry and hot with a stiff sulfur undertone. The terrain had changed. He was standing on the slope of a mountain of rust-streaked stone. Nightmare? Hallucination? Hell? He didn't fall asleep. It didn't seem like a hallucination. Everything felt crystal, sharp, detailed, and immediate. And if he had died of grief and gone to some kind of afterlife, it certainly wasn't what he had expected. He stood there, gaping. The least reasonable hypothesis, which seemed increasingly likely to be the case, was that he was simply, inexplicably, somewhere else. The sense of remoteness was unmistakable. Beyond not recognizing anything he saw before him, he knew he was far from his pride's den. Far, in fact, from anywhere he had ever been in his life. He didn't know how he knew, but he knew. He didn't know how he knew this, but he knew. He grasped at straws. Maybe it was another life. Maybe it was the distant past. Maybe Jazal wasn't really dead. These thoughts are useless, he muttered. If it was in any way real, he thought, then he needed to be home. Before he had time to begin formulating a plan of how to get home again, a stream of chittering furry creatures appeared from behind a bend in the trail. Their eyes were beady and ferocious, and their claws and teeth as sharp as needles. They hissed as they saw him and swarmed directly toward him. Ajani had never seen creatures like them. They were short, just about waist high, with broad heads, pointed ears, and light brown fur. Their hands were clawed, and they wore simple furs and beads. There were about 24 of them. He absorbed all in a flash as he made the quick decision to turn around in the opposite direction. Did every species have to enjoy hunting him? Ajani outpaced the creatures around the next bend, but they were gaining fast. He wished he had another direction to run, but the heights were dramatic. To his left, the rusty stone wall of the mountain was almost vertical. To his right, there was empty air, a sheer drop-off. The narrow path between them was Ajani's only option, so he took it. But it was no use. The diminutive monsters were catching up with him. Perhaps he could fight them or scare them off. Ajani stopped and spun around before he could take an attack stance or bring his axe to bear. They were abreast of him. And running right past. The creatures clicked and chittered excitedly as they streamed past him. They weren't chasing him at all. They were fleeing. Ajani looked back in the direction they had come from and saw that my fucking sound chip's messing up again. Ajani looked back in the direction they had come from and saw that they were trying to flee. There was a whoosh of wind that almost blasted Ajani off his feet. A dragon came soaring around the mountain and with it came a roar that caused the mountain itself to shudder. That's the end of the chapter. God, I love these short chapters. They're like little bursts of energy. Okay. We now return to Bant. We return to Hazid and his murderous thoughts as he's being taken in by Rafik. But the chapter is from his from his point of view, so he gets the picture. Bum. I think I'll slit your throat and plant flowers in there, thought Hazid. How much longer? He asked. I'm surprised you're so anxious, Hazid, said Rafik, as they rode back to civilization. You'll face severe justice when we deliver you to the courts in Valoron. I just want to know how long I have, said Hazid, It'll be another couple of hours, said Mubin. Mubin is Rafik's rhino friend. Rhino person. Hasid had nothing against the rocks, especially, except that he was an especially unlikable person. It's not that I hate you, it's just that I hate you. Until then, why don't you tell us why you destroyed Giltspire Castle, added Mubin. Case in point, Hasid thought, there was no subtlety to the rocks at all. What kind of flower would grow best out of their necks? He wondered. That's what he really wanted to know. Maybe he would go with roses. Hasid hoped they would grow thick with thorns as they grew out of his captors' necks, and he hoped those thorns would tear their way free of his captors' skins, bury roots deep in their guts. That's the only way he could possibly repay them both for the injustice they had done to him. None of it was his fault, after all. Sure, bud. Sure, Jan. It didn't. It wasn't me. I was only there on business. Some mages in my caravan, whom I had nothing to do with, cast a spell or something, and the next thing I know, the castle was tumbling down. When the walls came tumbling down. When the walls came tumbling down. It's a great Def Leppard song from their first album. It sounds the least like them. It's interesting. You'd better start getting used to telling the truth, said Mubin. The courts have magic that'll pry it out of you. But if it doesn't match your words, your punishment will be much worse. What's wrong with the steeds? Said Rafik suddenly. The Liatao slowed to a halt. They clocked their hooves on the stones of the road and huffed and snorted. A breeze swayed the ancient, twisted olive trees in the orchards around them. The steeds tilted their heads to and fro and sneered into the wind. Hasid rolled his eyes. They probably just smell a deer. No, they're fed. They smell something else, said Mubin. Then for a moment the three men made no noise. The sky rumbled and thudded, and the ground shuddered under the steeds. The trees shook in ways that wind could never have moved them, and they shed perfectly green leaves. The Liatao arched their backs suddenly and hissed in the air, causing Hasid to jump in his saddle. What in the blessed... Shh, said the knights. They would have called the phenomenon a herald of an evening thunderstorm if they had ever heard thunder. They would have called it a minor earthquake if they had ever felt the earth quake. But Bant had never felt such forces. Instead, the men sat quietly, struck dumb by the experience. The wind felt strange and thick, and the air had an earthly perfume to it, like rich soil. Thunder danced towards them, resounding in weird echoes from the horizon, and the clouds had an unnatural gray color to them. Hasid thought he saw lights in the clouds on the horizon, but as he squinted to focus on them, the lights evaded his eye. Was he going mad? Or had the angels discovered his sin? Then the ground stopped moving. Hazid's Liatao shook its mane and cautiously licked its front leg as if nothing had happened. The men looked at each other. Mubin was frowning, cautious and concerned as any of his race. The knight captain's face was full of wonder, as if it had been some sort of play with jesters and refreshments. Hazid was just painstakingly trying to hide his panic. Okay, so what was that, gentlemen? Asked Hasid. Any clues? It was a sign, said Rafik. It was something unique, said Mubin. A sign, yes, but from whom and of what? Have you ever seen anything like that, Hasid? Oh, that was either from Mubin or Rafik, I could not tell. Because they both had speaking lines right before this quote. Anyway, a sign, yes, but from whom and of what? Have you ever seen anything like that, Hasid? Me? Why would I have seen anything like that? Mubin was a stone wall. Try to calm down. My caravan has been from one side of this land to the other, and I have never seen anything so... No, I have not. I'm sure the explanation, once it's discovered, will be reasonable, said Mubin. Rafik toyed absently with one of the sigils hanging from his armor, listening for any other sign of the rumbling. And you too, continued Hazid, have me strapped to this lion, which is, by the way, not safe. I would complain to the courts about the way I'm being treated. It was just like the prayer, Mubin, wasn't it? Said Rafik. Asha's prophecy, like the order of the skyward eye, say. Rafik, said Mubin. When the world's body shakes, when the world's stomach churns, we felt it quake, we heard it churn. I never imagined it would be so literally true. Rafik, I don't want you to get your belief tangled in your optimism. It's just a cleric's prayer. I don't know, Mubin. I'm starting to think it may be something. Why couldn't it be true? We're in a historic time, foretold by ancient sages. The events and records we've seen as knights of the reliquary, the words we've heard, they're coming true. We're seeing it unfold before our eyes. This may be the time of the return of Asha. Hazid blinked and kicked in the stirrups nervously. Be cautious, said Mubin. Don't overinterpret. It could be a coincidence. Yes, said Hazid. My friend here has made an excellent point. It is just the weather. A little trick of the wind, nothing angelic or prophetic about it. Please don't let me be the hand of prophecy, thought Hazid. He didn't want to be the hand of prophecy anymore. He didn't want it to mean anything, because if it did, the consequence would be too horrible to contemplate. I think the Archangel has finally made herself known, said Rafik, nodding into the wind. His eyes seemed to look into infinity. There's finally hope for us all. The angels can't see me, can they? Worried Hazid. They can't see into my soul, to see what I've done. The clouds weren't enough protection, he thought. The open sky was full of their eyes. Where could a man get a roof over his head when he needed one? Can we just hurry up and get to the courts? Said Hazid. End of chapter. That was a very interesting exchange. Excuse me. We return to Jund, but who are we following? Ajani, and he's about to get chased by Dargon. Ajani had never seen a dragon and didn't know the term, but he didn't need to know what to call it to run from the beast, nor did he know the term for goblins, but he followed the furry creature's example and ran. If Ajani could have stopped and contemplated the anatomy of the dragon, he might have likened it to one of Naya's enormous gargantuans in size, except that none of the gargantuans had wings. He may have thought of some of the elves' ancient carvings of hydras and of primitive drawings he had seen in caves, but he might have pieced together that while no dragons had lived on Naya in centuries, a dim cultural memory of such a beast lingered in the dark pockets of his home. He might have considered that the presence of the dragon was strong evidence that he was no longer, in fact, on Naya. However, circumstances being what they were, he had no time for such thoughts. He just ran. The wing beats of the dragon hurled boulders of air to Johnny's back, and he wobbled, using his leather-strapped axe as a counterweight to keep his balance. Several of the furry goblins were swept right off the cliff by the gusts of air and tumbled off the edge and out of sight. Most of the little creatures were quite sure-footed, however, and scrambled into narrow caves, disappearing into the mountainside. Ajani wasn't accustomed to the terrain or the height, and he stumbled. His legs slipped out from under him, and he slid over the edge. Ajani caught himself, but barely. His legs dangled over the cliff, and his claws clung precariously to his axe and the cliff's edge. The dragon pulled up, hovering with mighty wing beats in the air next to the mountain, and rearing its head back to strike. "Back!" said a voice. "This is not your meal, old boy." A broad-chested human man stood on the cliffside. He grinned at Ajani, a crazed gleam in his eye. The man thrust his staff into the air and brought it down hard onto the stone ground. The impact let loose a blast of sizzling sparks that spiraled toward the dragon. The spell burst harmlessly on the dragon's nose, but startled it. Was it a fucking dog? Down, boy! Go on, Carthus, the man called into the gale of the dragon's wings. Feast on the blood of some other beast. This is my dinner. Oh, okay. The dragon hesitated, looking once at Ajani, then it turned and dived into the valley adjacent to the mountain. It swooped along the chasm floor, then with a series of powerful flaps of its wings, soared up and over the next cliffs and out of sight. The man helped Ajani up. I'm Sarkhan Vol. Hey, Sarkhan Vol returns. Where are we? There he is. Good old Sarkhan Vol. There's that crazed look in his eye. Notice the glazed look in the eye. Also noticed the I really wish I weren't here right now button. That's such a good fucking bit. Anyway, another slurpy drink. Okay. Where are we? I'm Sarkhan Vol, he said. His accent was strange, thick and guttural, like no human speech Ajani had ever heard. Ajani Goldmane. You're a long way from home, Ajani Goldmane. What place is this? This world is Jund, said Sarkhan. A savage primordial land. 'Tis my home for now, and yours if you'd like it to be. This is not my home, said Ajani. I'm from the Kwasali Valley, which is... Ajani broke off and looked around. He didn't know which direction to look. Not on this plain, Sarkhan finished. You don't know, do you? He asked. Ajani had trouble reading the man's expression. Was his smirk amused or devious? Know what? What does that mean? It means you're no longer on Naya. You've traveled to an entirely different world, Planeswalker. Okay, so that's interesting. I forgot that the shards of Alara are like their own world. They're not like floating like super far apart from each other. They're just like smaller planes that used to be a big plane but got cracked apart, which is interesting because we have never seen another type of plane that does that. Where are we? Oh, yeah. The man was making no sense. Deal with all that later, said Sarkhan. Carthus won't stay away for long. Come on. Some time passes. Ajani followed Sarkhan around the ledge, climbing higher and higher up the mountain. The heat rose as they went. Should he turn around and leave this strange man's company? He had no better plan than to follow him, and trying to learn what he should do. What's your purpose, Planeswalker? Sarkhan asked him. What fuels you? What drives you to do more than you ever could? Ajani paused. Revenge. Sarkhan laughed vigorously. That's about the best answer you could have given. Who wronged you? I don't know. Someone murdered my brother. I don't even know if it was real. Your anger is real, don't worry. You'll have ample opportunities to nurture that anger, and eventually, when you find the right target, to express it. As they walked, Ajani's fists shook. I feel like I could explode. Sarkhan stopped and turned back to look at him. No, that's not the right road, my friend. It's not that you want to burst into pieces yourself. What does that get you? This murder, it's not your fault. It's outside the world that is the target of your rage. You feel it encroaching on you, pressing down on your identity. What you're feeling is the need to push the world back. How do I do that? By believing in your own instincts, by letting your ferocity out of its cage of despair and self-doubt, by being the animal you are. He grinned broadly, showing his teeth. My destination is ahead. Come, tell me of your story as we walk. They walked further up the mountain pass. The winds were balmy blasts, thick with sulfur and the taste of soot, and Ajani had to wait for pauses in order to speak. He found it odd to tell the stranger of his world and the events that led to this plight, but the humans seemed to understand, and with the understanding came a measure of comfort. The heat became intense as they ascended, and Ajani was struck by the pulsing perception of mana nearby. It was mana of fire, mana of bitter rage, mana of immediacy and freedom and chaos. It was alluring, glorious. Ajani's heart raced and his breathing quickened. As he finished his story, Ajani saw flares of molten lava bursting up from the ridge ahead. What the hell are we... This is what I wanted you to see, my friend. This is the sweltering cauldron, my favorite source of mana on Jund. I needed to come here to recharge my spirit, and it may inspire you as well. The trail ended at the rim of the volcanic caldera, filled almost to the brim with seething red lava. The air above the caldera wobbled and distorted, and the entire front side of Ajani's body was bathed in almost unbearable heat. The magma that flowed around and through the caldera was abundant and intoxicating. He felt like his fur was burning, but he couldn't look away. I think maybe this one, I guess? Yeah, there's some... Oh! Haha! I caught my phone before it could fall. This is like the closest. I don't think they made a land of that. Let's... What was it called again? Sweltering Cauldron. So let's try to spell sweltering, even though I just saw the word. Nope. Alright, it's not in here. Maybe cauldron? How do you spell cauldron? Where are you? Oh, wait. C-A-U. Let's filter by land. Nope. Alright. No card for it, so this will have to do. Unless I can find a land card that's like a lava pool, I don't know. Ba-ba-boom. Ba-ba-boo. Ba-ba-boo. Ba-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba. That's better. Hell yeah. Okay. You want to know how I pushed Karthus away? Sarkon asked. Ajani nodded. The key... Oh. Hello, Cosme! And welcome. You're like... well, it hadn't been that long, but I've been reading a good bit. Hello, hello. Right now, I don't know if you know any of these characters, but Ajani has just arrived on the miniature plane of Jund from his home plane of Naya. And Ajani ran it. Yeah, the Catman, correct. And hold up, I got visuals for a reason. That's Sarkon Vol. He loves dragons and can turn into a dragon, kind of. Ajani has just activated his Planeswalker Spark by seeing the death of his brother. That's not Kraven. It's not Kraven the Hunter. Sarkon Vol is way more interesting than Kraven the Hunter. Way more interesting. It looks... No, it does not, dude. The depiction of Kraven that I'm thinking of is his appearance in the Spider-Man PS5 game. And he does not look like that. His hair is completely different. His outfit may look similar, but they're both inspired by, like, the... Thinking of one of the comics. Ah, there you go. That'll be the difference. But yeah, Johnny has just arrived on, Jund after his Planeswalker Spark ignites, and he runs into Sarkon Vol. And I'm very burpy because I'm drinking Liquid Death's Grapefruit, which is sparkling water with grapefruit flavoring, and the water sort of dilutes the bitter sourness of the grapefruit, but which makes it like sweet, and it's very good. Grapefruit, yeah, totally. But anyway, you want to know how I pushed Karthus away? Sarkhan asked. Karthus is a dragon that they ran into. Ajani nodded. The key is this: you don't force away a greater threat. You appeal to its passions. He bumped his chest with his fist. Innermost desires. You give it something that it wants more than killing you. How did you know what it wanted? Sarkhan laughed. Dragons always want the same thing, he said. With that, Sarkhan turned to the caldera. He raised his arms and staff high in the air. Quite appealing. By the way, I hope you saw the picture I sent to our little server that we got. It's a continuation of what? Yeah, it's the fucking continuation. I hope they make more. Of course you made the face. I haven't even seen it and I know what face you're talking about. I love the face. I love that image. I really hope they make a continuation of it because it's super cute. Anyway, also, I would love to do a thread with a particularly femboy Gallade. Just a little idea spark there. I don't actually know if I'll remember it. Actually, hold on. Let me type that into the future plots one. See them. Hey, they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know what I'm talking about. It don't matter. If you're vague enough, any interpretation can be gleaned. Who cares? Eh. There we go. All right. Anywho, a pillar of lava. I saw it. What are you doing? A pillar of lava shot straight up out of the center of the caldera. It streamed vertically into the air, disappearing into the ashen clouds high above. Sarkhan's voice was red in the glare of the enormous beam of fire. His eyes reflected the pillar as two glowing vertical stripes. There was a roar high above. Ajani looked up to see a dragon circling the pillar, a different one from the one who had chased him, its wings almost grazing the surface of the lava stream. Then another dragon approached and began wheeling around it. Then another, and another. Soon the air was filled with dragons, all attracted to Sarkhan's molten pillar of pure rage. They stacked up in tiers in the sky in what looked to Ajani like a bizarre dance of giants. What the fuck? What are you doing, bro? Sarkhan turned his head back to Ajani. The man's smile was too wide, his eyes too unfocused. I see it now. I see what Raka was after. There's a greater power at work here across your world and mine. This power can be yours as well, he said. How? That's my reaction. Oh, yeah. Said, how, said Ajani. How doesn't matter, said Sarkhan. How is details. It's right here, plain as the volcano before. Plain as the volcano on your face. Plain as the volcano before us. Just go after what you want and take it. And if there's something in your way, you take it anyway. How does now brown cow? Right? Cow brown. Now how? Let's see. You take it anyway. You blast through it. You push it out of your way, or you fly over it. Yes, you did it. Yeah, I did it, I guess. I don't know what I did. Then, as if to prove his point, he leaped off the ledge into the caldera. Ajani gawked as the man tumbled down toward the lava, a dark humanoid silhouette against the glowing red. But then he moved laterally across the lava and eventually gained in altitude. As Ajani watched, Sarkhan sprouted leathery wings and became a huge flying creature. A dragon! That's the blowing the thing away. Hell yeah, brother. Sarkhan dragon spiraled around the pillar of lava a few times with the other dragons. As he flew, the pyromantic spell ended and the pillar dissipated and sank back into the caldera. Ajani saw only a cloud of dragons. Sarkhan had become indistinguishable from them. The dragons began to break off one by one, heading off into the orange sky of Jund. Soon Ajani was alone with the volcano. Ajani held his head in his hands. His mind swirled with thoughts that bled with pain and rage. Jazal is dead, his brother, he thought, and I'm in a world of fire. He was cut off from his home, and a man who might have understood him, who might have understood how to get him back there, had just turned into a monster and flown away. The heat from the volcano felt strangely soothing, a fuming salve to his pain. Ajani threw his arms wide as if to embrace the entirety of the caldera. He inched his feet toward the ledge. The heat on the tips of his toes was excruciating. What was he about to do? Was he insane or suicidal? The heat poured into Ajani, penetrated right through his skin and sizzled inside his veins. Jazal was dead, he thought, and he was as good as dead as well. His fate had already been decided. Why not make one choice he could actually control? If death was coming for him, then why not fly into it? He took a step. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm going to die. As he fell, fumes from the caldera blasted up around him. They scorched his body and his soul, shredding him into pieces and reforming him, enveloping him in an eternity of fire destruction. And we return to Naya. Where are you? There you are. Naya Panorama. Great land, by the way. Cheap. All of the panoramas from Alara are very cheap, and they're pretty good. Great for budget decks. Anyway, on to the chapters in this book, by the way, Cosme, are like really short. And and in each chapter they hop between the planes of Alara, which are really cool. Anyway, smoke wafted from Ajani's fur. The smell of it woke him. He coughed. If he was dead, then the afterlife must smell a lot like his home jungle. He sat up and looked around. He recognized the trees and the trails around his pride's den. It was day. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to get some of the MTG books, but they're not printed. Yeah, they are. I'm reading it right now. Like, listen. That's the book in my hand. What are you talking about? I don't think they've been reprinted. Oh, correct. Yes, they stopped printing physical books for the storyline. Oh, absolutely not. No. They're old. So your best bet would be either eBay or what the fuck is that site called? Abe Books. Hold on. Abe Books. It's like eBay, but for only books. They also have a bookstore locator. So if you have any local bookstores in your area, you can type in your area code, and it'll like tell you any bookstores within like a however many mile radius you want. It's fucking great. I love it. But yeah, I would go. I've seen it. I've been on it before, but it made me sad since the book I wanted was 1,000. Yeah, that's the only downside about Abe Books is that the booksellers know what the books are worth. So you're gonna have to chance it. I mean, some of the books are real cheap. I don't remember how much Alara Unbroken was, but I don't think it was that much. The cheapest one that I've seen is like $5, but I've also seen one for one of the early ones from like the Brothers War. I'll never get a copy of the Witch's Broomstick. Hey man, I'll never get a copy of the original novel version of The Year of the Black Rainbow by Coheed and Cambria. That shit's like almost $1,000, I think, or at least $100. Now there is a Kindle version, but I want that physical book in my hands. I don't want a fucking Kindle version. Anyway. Where are we? It was day. Some cinders were smoldering in his fur. He rubbed them out of his hand. The cinders and smoke kept him grounded. They forced him to remember his plains walk to Jund and convinced him it had actually happened. Ajani felt hollow. The jungle lianas felt like teasing fingers reaching out to prod and pinch him as he wandered. His fur was grubby and his mane was speckled with burrs. Instinctively, he turned uphill, walking any slope that led upward, without thinking anything but a dim sense of wanting to move away from his own footprints. As he climbed in elevation, the roots and cloddy dirt turned to mud. The oppressive humidity turned to rain. The first heavy droplets plunked on the leaves and made them shudder around him. When they dropped onto his body, they broke apart into steam, cooling and soothing him. In the distance, he heard the low rambles of gargantuans, voices over the beginnings of the rain. Wait, original print or just a print in general? A print in general in terms of the Year of the Black Rainbow. Because it only had one printing, and it was for like the deluxe version of the original release of Year of the Black Rainbow, the album. And it's been extremely expensive ever since, and it sucks. Because he's never reprinted it, although Claudio does plan on turning the Year of the Black Rainbow into a comic. I mean, if you do find it, great, but don't pay an arm and a leg for it. Because like I said, Claudio said he has plans to turn all the Amory Wars albums into comic books, including Year of the Black Rainbow, which is coming after, which release-wise takes place after the comic book adaptation that's happening right now, which is for No World for Tomorrow. And I have already backed that Kickstarter, and whenever the full volume printings of No World for Tomorrow get released, they're gonna send me all of them in one big old package, and I love it. I'll see what I can do one day for it. Alright, man, no problem. Although, if you have time, I would prefer checking to see if that micro SD card can fit all the games we want onto that 3DS. Again, no rush, just a gentle sprinkling of a reminder. Does it have to be in English? Yes, it has to be in English, Cosme. I want to be able to read it. I get what you mean, though. Some people just like to collect it. It works. I gotta just work on the mod chip, no problem. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. We're making steps. I appreciate it. I appreciate your effort, despite the busy holiday season that you have to work through. Alright, where are we? The colossal beast's voice is carried for miles, which was good because being in earshot didn't mean being in range of their huge feet. Jazal used to say that their ancient minds held the secrets of another age. Too upbeat. There we go. Where are we? When they were boys, the two brothers would strain their ears to listen to the gargantuans' voices, but they could never understand the words. It was a music of pain, Ajani thought, part of the deep rhythm of Naya. Sometimes, as he slept in their camp, he fell asleep to the long, low, rumbling sighs of the gargantuans and fell into dreams where the stars were singing sad songs to him. Weirdly enough, it was not Banjo-Kazooie. Yes, I've gotten a lot of free snacks at work. Hell yeah, brother. Love that for you. You're wrong on both accounts. Both of them were from RuneScape, ironically. That's usually what I listen to whenever I'm reading one of the Magic the Gathering novels, because it's like the closest to like a fantasy sort of music that I can think of. If I can think of another better fantasy music to backdrop it, we gotta play. Hell yeah, we do. I need to restart my streamer account on there anyway. For some reason, it's just gone. Like, the email that I used for it is no longer registered on there. I entered my email, and it's like, what email? What are you talking about, dude? This email was never here. And I'm like, I got you level 30! What are you talking about? So I was bungry. What does that mean? What does bungry mean? That's a good bit, though. Bungry. I can has cheeseburger and bungry. But yeah, it's RuneScape music, and we do need to play that one day. We also need to play I also need to play Final Fantasy 14 with you if you have it, because I fucking love Final Fantasy 14. It's so fun. It's so relaxing. You'll never know. Also mistyped hungry. Honestly, I prefer keeping Bungry. It's fucking great. I love Bungry. Reminds me of Scrungly. I can't play 14. Oh, why not? Is it the price point? If it's the price point, I get it. I was hesitant for a while. My PS5 makes the text so small. You can increase the size of that text in the settings menu. Fairly certain, anyway. I'd be surprised if they didn't. It will. Oh no! That sucks, man. Feels bad, but I'm sorry about that. But hey, we can absolutely play RuneScape. I still need to do that one fucking quest in the free version of RuneScape that requires 2 players. Still hate that, by the way. I have the demo though, so I get to like a level 30 or something. That has been increased, but that's good. It's good that you have a free account at least. You have the free version. What was I gonna fucking... Where was I in the book? Oh yeah, into the paragraph. The rain was clattering and Ajani was soaked in moments. Oh, okay, like in a moment's time he was soaked. He usually had a tarp to keep him out of the afternoon rain, but without one the water just ran down his body in rivulets, chasing streaks of ash. Excuse me, I had a sneeze. There's some games we gotta play. Hell yeah, brother. I still want to play a game of Magic, a game of Cockatrice on stream with you. That'd be great. You'd have to let everyone hear your adorable voice, but I'm sure they won't mind. The canopy opened up to reveal a clearing in which sat the ruins of a Nikol city. Huge broken slabs of white granite jutted up at odd angles from the earth. A temple supported a network of climbing vines twisted over its steep moss-covered steps. Birds alighted on shrines and headless statues. The rain gave the ruins an even more deserted feeling. No one was there to protect any of its structures. It was naked to the elements. It was a forbidden place. They were the ruins of Antali. Cock. What do you mean? What are you fucking? You fucking talking Rock Hawk, or as I like to call him, Rock Hawk? Still funny. Still a game that I want to play, but every time I watch someone play through it on like YouTube or something, I'm like, oh yeah, eh. But I feel like I would enjoy it. Like, I love the first game. I have it on Nintendo 64. And I have Super Paper Mario, which is very fun, but I have not beaten it yet. I keep getting stuck on where to go. But yeah, anyway. You shouldn't be here, said a delicate voice. Ajani whirled around. A very old Nikol woman stood before him in shaman's dress, not looking up into his eyes. Her fur was dark gray, like the cold tips of hardwood after an evening's fire, but now matted with rain. Her pupils were huge, almost filling her entire eyes. She didn't seem to be using them. You shouldn't be here, but I suspect you're meant to be. You're here to read the coil, I suppose? No, Come along, then. I can't play Super Paper Mario on the NSO. The block doesn't... Huh? On the NSO, the block doesn't work. I'm very confused, dude. Super Paper Mario is for the Wii. What are you talking about? I don't even know what the NSO is. NSO? Nintendo something online? Oh! What do you mean the block doesn't work? That's weird, dude. Very strange. I hope they patch that or something. Ajani looked around. The rain was moving on, rolling along the grassy square of Antali like a cloud. Mist soon enveloped the ruins. The old woman was so silent of foot that Ajani had to hurry to keep sight of her in the fog. This is where the hero Marisi led his uprising, you know, said the old woman. You've heard the story? You should, young thing like you. They should teach you the stories. Marisi was a great man. He freed the minds of the Nikol who lived here. The city was decadent. No one remembered their inner natures here. They had gone soft because life was too easy up here. Peace and law for generations. It made everyone fat and vile. The woman was leading Ajani through the fog. Ajani wondered how her steps were so sure, given her obviously failing sight. There was a rough trail that led up a bit higher. They pulled down the coil, smashed it to rubble, but you can still read the scratch forms. You'll see. Ajani had heard mention of the coil in the Hadu during the yearly feast of Marisi. The memory stung him. Jazal. He wished he remembered more of what Jazal's speeches were supposed to teach him. What exactly is the coil? He asked. The coil is law, said the old woman. 121 guiding principles scratched into granite by the cloud Nikol. 121 shackles on our minds. The high-minded Nikol Kasal over on the next mountain are still bound by its precepts. Excuse me. It's an internal delay due to the... Bro. That's so awful. You'd think they would have thought of that, but apparently not. That's absurd. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything else on this online about it. With the remaster of Thousand Year Door, I'm surprised no one's tried the original on Nintendo Switch Online and been like, why the fuck can't I block? They still hold on to civilization, but their souls have lost the rage that makes us who we are. Not at all. I don't know. It's just me, I guess. Even Puzzle League has a minute delay. Like, between button presses, you wait a full minute? No way. That can't be right, dude. Did you check to make sure your Switch was up to date or something? Like, that seems ridiculous. God damn. God damn. God damn. Not minute, the slight. Oh, you mean, minute. Yeah. You're nude. I'm pulling a page out of your book. You're nude? Is he cute? Anyway. Yeah, the minute. I hate that minute and minute are spelled almost the exact same way, if not the exact same way. That's really annoying. One of the many reasons why the English language is incredibly stupid. In this TED Talk, For the remainder of the stream, I will tell you all the ways the English language sucks. Oh, man. Anyway. Where are we? They came upon a bowl in the earth, an amphitheater carved into a grassy slope. Steps led down to a dais, where an immense disk of white granite lay broken. As they approached it, Ajani saw the spiraling geometric shapes of the scratch forms gouged into it, a recording method only the shamans in Ajani's pride had used. Jazal had been able to read some simple scratch forms, and had tried to teach his brother, but Ajani had always been more interested in developing his skill with the axe instead. The thickness of the disc came up to Ajani's waist, and its diameter was thrice his height. A meandering crack divided the disc into two large pieces, and any smaller ones and seedlings and patches of moss had blossomed between them. The pattern of the scratch forms across the pieces was dizzying. The coil recorded a way of life that was supposed to support freedom through law, said the old woman. When I was a girl, the hero Marisi smashed the coil so that we all could recover what we had lost. I can't read it, said Ajani. The old woman put her hand on the disc. She ran her fingers over the scratch forms. You don't need to. You can feel what they represent, can't you? There's rage in your scent. I can sense you share in Marisi's cause. What I feel is not Marisi's rage. I have my own. Even better. Each of us needs our own burden to shove against. Each of us needs our own load to weigh us down. What have you pushed up the mountain with you? Ajani was beginning to wonder whether the old crone had anything left rattling around in her head. He looked to his hands. I have nothing. Nonsense. Tell me what you've brought with you here, boy. What burden do you carry? Oh, we got an ad starting in about a minute. Animal Crossing? No, it's not Animal Crossing. It's still RuneScape, but it is too upbeat. But yeah, we got an ad break coming in about 39 seconds. Grab a snack, grab a drink, go to the bathroom if you need to. And then once the 30 seconds are up, it'll be 3 minutes of ads, baby, unless you get lucky or you have Prime. I don't know if mods are immune from ads or not. Good shit. Let's see. Ajani Crossing! Oh, that's cute. Now I want to see Ajani in the Animal Crossing style. Ajani Crossing. No, I'm not. You're not what? The ads aren't here yet. Okay, yeah, what burden do you carry? He said the first thing that came to mind, the only thing on his mind. The death of my brother. The old woman hissed a laugh. Death? It must be fresh for your sin to be so warm. He was murdered. Ah, yes, now I see. You have the blaze in you now. That's good. Who killed your kin, then? I don't know. The blaze demands better than that. It will eat away at you the longer you put it off. I see now why you've come. Say it. What was she talking about? Say it! Say what, old woman? I don't know what you think I was trying to do. The woman sprang forward and clawed him suddenly, raking his bare chest with surprising viciousness. Ajani roared and instinctively fell into a battle stance. Yes, she said, tell me what the blaze wants. I also have Prime too, but nothing. Well, that's weird. Also, the ads still aren't here yet. Now they're here. Good evening, VOD watchers. Or anyone who got lucky enough to avoid the ads. Today's substitute teaching job went pretty well. I forgot that today was the last day of public school in my area. And the regular school day ended, and then the rest at like 1:30, and then the rest of the time I was in an empty classroom while the rest of the school was in the gym for some kind of elf talent competition or some shit. I don't know. All I know is I got to play games until like I had to clock out, and it was fucking great. Fucking great. Elf, Buddy the Elf? No, I fucking hate that movie, Cosme. Also, nice to see you got around the ads. But yeah, no, I hate that movie because a big source of its comedy is awkward humor, and I do not like awkward humor. I don't like awkward humor. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. Like, ugh. I like awkward, like, I want to punch someone in the face who is responsible for the awkward moments that I have to sit through in some occasions, because my God, they should not exist. I hate them so much, and they were purposely written by someone. Who would do such a thing? Oh god, it's awful. It's all good, buddy. Half of this is a bit. Half of this is a bit. The other half is that I legitimately don't like awkward humor, but I'm kind of playing it up for the bit. But yeah, like, really not a fan of the awkward humor, which is a shame, really, because there are some great shows with some really funny clips, but I'll never be able to watch them because of their awkward humor. Case in point, Parks and Rec and The Office. Just full of awkward humor, but the little bits that I've seen online, fucking hilarious. Move this madness. I love the "Don't be suspicious" bit from Parks and Rec. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Like, it's so good. Out of context. You also got the classic Office moments where, like, corporate wants us to find the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture. You know, identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Like, so many it's called hentai and it's art. Like, that's like so many good bits, but like the rest of the show is just awkward and I don't like it. And that's the point of the show. What about 9-9? I actually keep forgetting about Brooklyn 9-9. I've never tried to watch it before, so I don't know. I also, apparently leaning forward with my arms on the desk is making my brain think that I'm tired, which is why I'm sounding sleepy, even though I don't feel sleepy. It's weird. Because as soon as I get off a stream in about an hour or so, I'm gonna go back to playing Final Fantasy XIV. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Same with Tacoma. I've never heard of Tacoma. But yeah, I really want to try Brooklyn 9-9, but I don't remember where you can stream it. The one class that I subbed for today, he just had the three different classes watch a show. Firefighters? Ew, I don't like firefighters. I don't like watching firefighters. What is it? So the teacher teaches two different classes of sports medicine or something like that, or sports health or something. So I had to show two different classes, the same 1.5 episodes of Friday Night Lights, which, God, I hate that show. It's a comedy thing like 9-9. Oh, okay, interesting. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, Friday Night Lights, it's garbage. I don't like it. But he had one class of anatomy, and the show that he showed them was the first episode of season 2 of House, which is the one with LL Cool J and the murderer who has like a heart attack or something on death row and whatnot. I like watching that 1.5 episodes, because the other one started, and it was the one with the girl who had survived cancer, but she started like hallucinating or something. But yeah, those 2 episodes made me want to actually start watching House, even though I'm pretty sure most of it is not medically accurate. Still a fun show to watch, though. And I think I have it I think I have it on my watch list on Hulu. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. I need to continue reading because I like this book. Where was I? The Thickness of the Disc. I already read that. Oh, yeah, there's. It's hilarious. I fucking love it. It's hilarious. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there are parts of it that are really funny. Alright, we return to Ajani. He said the first thing to... Oh, no, I already read that. Say it. Tell me what the Blaze wants. She raked at him again. He was ready for it and stepped out of the way, but her other claw slashed at his arm as he dodged the first blow. Blood oozed down his arm. Say it! Say it! It's fucking, yeah, the thickness of the dick. She's fucking acting like the Green Goblin as portrayed by Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man. Say it! I don't know what you want me to say. The woman pounced on him, sinking her claws deep into his chest. It felt like she were clutching his heart itself, coiling her claws around the still beating organ and twisting it around in its cage. Ajani roared and seized the woman in his own claws, wrenched her free of him, and threw her. She was light. She arced up and down and slammed her head in one corner of the coil. She fell limp on the ground. Great job, Ajani. God, I wish I had gotten the Green Goblin mask. They have it for sale right now, but it's so expensive. Oh yeah, they're doing like an auction thing, like the official prop, which is very interesting. I watched Adam Savage's video where they like go into detail about what it like, you know, what would have been on it and whatnot. Super cool looking. Johnny gasped and rushed over to her, cradling her in his arms. His blood was pumping, and his claws wouldn't retract. Blood oozed from a gash above one of the woman's pupil-filled eyes. She came to, blinking and smiling. "Now you know it," she said. "Now you can say it." Johnny's nostrils flared with his brisk breaths. "I will kill whoever murdered my brother." Oh, now it's time for part 2 of the whole novel. Back on Naya, the Dragon Planeswalker Nikol Bolas. Hey, it's time for Nikol Balls. This boy, this old man. All right. Oops. Oh yeah, that's the full. Yeah, Nick's balls. Nikol Bolas is actually like Portuguese for Nicole Balls. For real, it's so fucking funny. Anyway, the Dragon Planeswalker Nikol Bolas exhaled a sigh of black smoke. He had grown used to the chill, dead air of Grixis, and Naya's cloud jungle felt intolerably hot. The sodden air clung to his skin and slithered through his nostrils, and the plain positively teemed with living things. Something was crawling on every part of him, a rodent of some kind, a bird, a legion of insects. He twitched his limbs to shoo them away, but they were quickly replaced by other living things. Naya was the most exuberant world of Alara. It was suffocating. Before him, looking more like an insect to him than the warrior hero of his reputation, was the Leonin Marisi. Oh, okay. Kneeling like a forgotten penitent. "I didn't expect your visit, master," said Marisi, bowing his head. Despite the oppressive life of the plain, Bolas's plans required such unpleasant stopovers. Once his plans were properly actualized, he would be able to summon his minions to his lair, fill their tiny brains with his orders, and fling them back across the aether. He longed for that day. Until then, he'd have to make the visits in person. Exhausting. It was necessary. I need to be elsewhere soon, so I'll keep this short. The issue is this. I need more assurance of conflict from your world. The Leonin of Naya already hate one another, thanks to your intervention years ago. But I want more. I want the elves. I want the elves. Yeah, of all things no, he's not. He himself is not Portuguese, but his name happens to mean Nikol Balls in Portuguese. What the fuck, dude? Marisi. Hold on. Why am I blanking on that name? Oh shit, dude! It's the guy. Attention has been what? Oh, reason the elves. This is Marisi. Okay, he was the legendary Leonin guy that like broke Ajani's tribe free of Darules. I didn't realize he was still alive. Crazy. Anyway, the Leonin of Naya already hate one another thanks to your intervention years ago. But I want more. I want the elves, said Bolas. You can't have the elves, said Marisi. This is not a negotiation. This is not a request. I need the elves. Tony the Tiger looking ass. Where are we? Marisi shook his furry little cat head. I'm sorry, master, but it's too late, he said. The convergence is too soon. Bolas lowered his brow. Then you have to act quickly, won't you? It's not a matter of acting quickly or slowly. The elves have a deep history on Naya. They won't be motivated to war so easily. They won't believe any prophecy we could cook up in the time remaining, let alone my counsel. I am a hero of the Nikol, but to the elves, I'm just some cat man. as portrayed by Adam West. Need I remind you of your advanced age? If you see fit to sever our agreement, I would be happy to let you face the depredation of time. I learned a new word. Depredation. No, No. I'm sorry, Master. I appreciate your magics, but the elves, they're more difficult than the Nikol. They trust only one thing. Bolas flicked his tongue against his teeth. And what is that? They call it progenitus. What is progenitus? It's their supposed Hydra god. They believe that it created the world, and that now it lives deep under Naya. Of course, it's legend, but it gives their dull lives some comfort. Elves live a long time. I think they need stories to occupy their minds. Go on. Well, nobody has ever seen this progenitus, of course, but the elves depend on its judgment. They believe this elf girl, Mael, can read secret signs extant in the natural world. The signs allow the girl to perceive the mind of progenitus directly, and her pronouncements guide all of elvish society, but I doubt her authenticity. It's just a myth and superstition. Bolas sat back, finally comfortable in the heat. Not anymore, it isn't. I didn't know the word. I'd never heard of it before. Depredation? Not degradation, which I know degradation. I had never heard depredation with a P instead of a G. Depredation. Depredation? Hold on, let me type it out for you in the chat. Depredation. Bam. Depredation. Never heard of it before. I've heard degradation, but not depredation. Anyway. For those watching the VOD or who are unaware, this is Mael. She is an absolute cutie. Absolute baby. Learned it in middle school. Or ain't you fucking special. I didn't read that much in middle school, okay? I didn't start reading novels until like a few years ago. I'd been reading manga since then. But yeah, this is Mael. She's actually one of my commander decks. My elf. I mean, yeah, kind of. She is an elf, but that's not how you spell her name. Yeah. There it is, Mael. It looks like Mael, either way. I love her, and I only made her a commander for my commander deck because she's cute as fuck. Look at her. She's pretty. I want to give her cheek a smooch. She may not see me coming because she's blind. That's terrible, I apologize. But I think she is actually blind. But yeah. Mayo! You joke, but there's a character in the Coheed and Cambria Amory Wars comics. He's an evil general called Mayo Deftinwolf. And it's so goofy, and I love it. Did I put progenitus in here? I did not. Oh no, I did. Fuck yeah. I'm glad I called it. That is progenitus. He costs 10 mana, I think. And he has protection from everything, which is not as good as you might think. Mayo Fawar, what? His name is Mayo Deftinwolf. Hold on, I got you. Oh my god, type the E. Ghidorah! It do be Ghidorah coded. It is a Hydra. But it has more than 3 heads. There you go. Mayo Deftinwolf. Either way. I may have misspelled Deftinwolf, but you get the idea. Alright, we return to Jund for the next chapter. In recent visits to Jund, we meet... oh, there we go. I'm not sitting on my spine anymore. We meet... Rafik of the Many. Oh, yeah. Well, we are returned to Ash, right? We meet Guafa Hazid, who is just the biggest of bastards. And we meet... Where are you? There you are. Rafik of the Many. And on Bant, instead of having a regular court system, civil disagreements and whatnot are settled by non-fatal combat. It's very interesting. Guafashid. It does kind of seem like, yeah. He does kind of have a bit of a strange name, but I can't help but think it might have its origins somewhere non-American, which is why it doesn't sound normal to us. I don't know, but yeah, Hazid is a right bastard, and he has recently been caught and convicted of the crime of destroying an entire city by making a giant spire shoot out of the ground, which I think I have a picture of. Ah, yes, here it is. This isn't the picture of the castle, but this is what the spires look like that pop out of the ground. They look like that. The card that it is from... What bit is that, Kasumi? Yeah, that is the art for a card known as Rupture Spire. And that's the spires that have been popping up all over Alara, actually, on each of the chunks, as it were. Either way, we're gonna close out some of these images, and then we return to whose perspective is it? Oh no, sorry, we're on Jund, not Bant. Silly me. We're on Jund. But we return to Sarkon Vol and his interrogate. Not a bit, I'm just hungry. I feel that, buddy. I hope you get something to eat. We return to Sarkon Vol and he is interrogating a shaman lady who's super fucking cute. Her name is Raka. Look at her. Look at that red mana. Look at them thighs, too. Goddamn. Anyway. If you're lying about this, I'll kill you, said Sarkon. You know that. Raka grinned, her sharp black teeth meshing into one another. If I were interested in your death, I'd have left you under a pile of rock. Sarkon and Raka rested on the top of a volcanic cliff overlooking the green jungle choked channels below. The stones were like cut glass. Sarkon's gloves were sliced through in a dozen places, and he wasn't looking forward to examining his boots. They had taken a circuitous route up the mountain. Hey, that is green mana. Avoiding cascades of lava that poured over outcroppings at regular intervals and fell hundreds of feet into red-hot pools. As they climbed, they passed cooled lava tubes, many of which showed signs of habitation. Simple tools, broken pottery. Who would live among dripping lava up on the high cliffs where dragons flew? On every world he had seen, it was the same thing, thought Sarkon. What cosmic crime had goblins committed that they occupied the worst point on the food chain everywhere he went? He equipped Swift, but yeah, right? Where are we? Oh. As they climbed, Raka's feet caught the nooks in the volcanic cliff easily and regularly. She was more nimble than she looked. She was full of surprises, Sarkon thought grimly. Don't worry, Raka said. You'll see, you'll be impressed. He's just your type, trust me. Uh-oh, gay coding. I didn't come all the way to this place to be ambushed by more of your raiders, he told her, or struck down by a petty spell while I'm weak from climbing. I mean it. You lie and you die. Raka scoffed. You're worse than Crash, and you betrayed Crash. You got most of his men devoured by that hellkite. The last thing I should be doing is following. Shh. What is it? Shh. Raka had stopped. What ruse was she planning? But as he listened, he heard scrabbling sounds echoing from deep inside the lava tubes. Goblins, Sarkhan readied a spell. A little lava mancy should keep the hungry buggers off of him. Don't move, Raka hissed. And don't cast anything. You're out of your mind, Sarkhan thought. Or perhaps this was her ambush. He began the first steps of the spell. He could already feel the satisfying tug of a nearby stream of lava. Its course was beginning to divert. One more good solid act of will and it would pour into the echoing lava tube and make crispy statues of the incoming goblins. Raka hissed once more, not an instruction, just a noise of urgency. Fine, he said under his breath. I'll wait one moment, but if one of those goblins so much as nibbles on me, I'll roast the lot of them. Sure enough, goblins surged out of the tunnels, chittering and rasping like deranged rats. They flowed over the cliffs in a furry stream, moving in every direction, including against gravity, as if they didn't notice its pull. Crash Bando. No, it's more RuneScape. Although, yet again, more music that's too upbeat. That's better. They came close to Sarkhan, brandishing short spears and making click wheeze sounds of irritation at him. He didn't budge, he just stared back at them. One of them reached tentatively toward the staff at his side, and he snarled at it. It yelped and scrambled and scrabbled off up the mountain. The goblins swarmed up past the two shamans and disappeared over the top of the cliff. Sarkhan heard their steps and clicking calls recede into the distance. No, you said crash, did I? I don't even remember. Heard their steps and clicking reached into the distance, and only then did he speak again. Why didn't you tell me they were plant eaters? They aren't, said Raka. They just have bigger things to worry about than us. What? I'm not tasty enough? It's just a little while now. Let's go. It's just a little further to his favorite spot. I am offended, really. I've been bitten by goblins on 5 worlds, and these things didn't even stop to... Come on! The goblins climbed over one another in a jumble on the mountaintop plateau. A pile of furry humanoids eager to be as close to the sky as possible. It was as high as those goblins could ever get outside of a dragon's maw, thought Sarkhan. And yet they had brought themselves so low. It was disgusting, choosing to make themselves prey for the draconic lords of the world. He could understand their revering the mighty beasts, but not prostrating themselves before them. That was not a relationship of respect or admiration. That was an orgy of self-destruction. I like that phrase. And that was an orgy of self-destruction. The pathetic chorus of victims begging homicidal charity from a superior being. He turned away and scanned the landscape. Jun's sky was a cauldron of roiling smoke fed by 1,000 volcanic chimneys. A storm was brewing nearby, a purplish welt on the sky that gathered force as it twisted. We should get moving soon, said Sarkhan. This will be a bad place to be in a short while. Raka just grinned at him. The storm exploded suddenly, soundlessly, as if some magnetic cyst inside it had burst open. A black shape appeared from inside it, fell meteorically for a moment, then caught its own weight in the air. It had wings. This is your dragon? Sarkhan asked. That's him, yes, said Raka. He's big. A hellkite. Not exactly. Hellkite is too young a term to describe him. He's older than a hellkite? He's older than the word hellkite. Got him. Sarkhan's eyebrows raised. Raka set herself in a firm stance and began pulling at the air with her claw-like hands. She grasped pockets of air and pulled them to her chest, fueling some kind of ritual. Soon Sarkhan saw she had a ball of hot smoke hovering before her. With a shout, she pushed the smoke ball into the air, and it shot upwards with a roar. High up in the air above the mountaintop, the ball of smoke detonated, sending streams of fire in all directions. As the fire dissipated, it left cinder streaks in the sky above them. The goblins cheered. The dragon neared. Wordplay. Oh, stretches. Alright, Gengar's gotta go. It's too hot. Ugh. I don't know why I get so hot when I stream. And yet I don't look any more good looking. Alright. Let's move the drink over here. Wordplay these. Wordplay these testicles. Anyway. PC what? Anyway. We're returning to Naya. It gets room hot. But I don't have a PC. I just have a laptop. And my legs are right next to an air vent that is not putting out heat. The room that I'm in just always seems to get hot for some reason. Even though whenever this was my sister's room, she would always complain about being cold. And now that I take up space in her former room, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because every winter, she always had to have like some kind of space heater or something. Same difference. No, they are not the same thing, Cosme. One is significantly smaller and puts out significantly less heat. It's also not in my lap. It also doesn't feel very hot either. Like, it's not like smoldering or anything. You got a lot of stuff. You ain't seen my room. You don't know what I got. Oh, goodness. I really do think it was just my Gengar overheating me a little bit. Returning to Naya. What I call laptop when not in laptop. Bold of you to assume I'm a top. I'm a switch, you fool. Anyway. Anyway, it had taken days for Ajani to recover his bearings and travel back to his pride's valley. It was dawn as he approached, and he moved as carefully and as silently as possible. He stepped on stones when he could, bare dirt when he couldn't, and only on foliage as a last resort. As far as he was concerned, the pride was a nest of enemies. He didn't want to give away his return if he could help it. The den was silent, nearly deserted in the early morning. He smelled burnt wood. Had they lit another bonfire? What were they doing? Feasting after Jazal's death? No, it was a funeral pyre. Jazal's funeral. They had cremated his brother without him. Of course, they don't like you, Ajani, and it's really shitty that they hate you so much just because you have white fur. It sucks. Ajani approached the pyre. Almost nothing recognizable was left of Jazal. Every hair and claw was incinerated. I don't look good.
Switch these nuts. GOOTM.
I don't know why, but for some reason, the text-to-speech interprets capital letters as single letters, and it's really weird. Let's see. I don't look good, do I? Said Jazal's voice. No, you don't, brother, said Ajani. They should have done rites to calm you after death. They burned you as a Ka, but they should have burned you as an unavenged spirit. I'm a spirit then, am I? If you're not, I'm going crazy. Well, yes, that is what I'd be implying. That's late. Yeah, you might need to refresh your stream or something. Ajani ignored that. The ash was still warm to the touch. He cupped his hands and grabbed great handfuls of the ash, that's weird, and wiped streaks of it down his chest. It was Jazal, he thought. Those were flecks of his actual burned body. Yes, why are you wiping them on your chest? The image he had of his brother in his mind, the strong Nikol with the knowing smile, had no basis in reality anymore. Jazal wasn't on a trip somewhere, off in the jungle, about to arrive back home to him again at any moment. That was it. Those streaks of ash were his brother, correct. There was an object in the pit, something dark and round, made of a strange material. Ajani reached in to pick it up, but a voice had stopped him, one outside of his own head. Ajani, what are you doing? He whirled around. Zaliki stood there, her face elongated with shock. Are these Jazals? Zaliki, Oh, are those Jazals? Zaliki, Ajani, I don't know where you've been the last few days, and I know you've been through a lot. It's something horrible that I can scarcely imagine. But look at yourself. There are children around here. Think of the example you're setting, touching the ashes of the dead. I know it's wrong, but look, Zaliki, I'm going through something. Jazal's presence, it's with me. Maybe you feel it too. No, get away from me with those hands. Fucking Zaliki, you fucking absolute bitch, just automatically betraying him. Wait, what the fuck? Gardevoir, Shush, and Party Popper. What the fuck is that? Oh well. Let's see. Get away with me with those hands. Okay, don't worry, I'll clean all this up. Just don't go, said Ajani. I could use someone to talk to. Zaliki turned her head, as if looking for an escape route, but she stayed. All right, she said. Thank you. Ajani's eyes drifted back to the pyre and the object he saw there. He couldn't help himself. He reached into the ash and pulled it out. It was in the shape of a hemisphere, a bowl. It was filthy. Every surface was coated in fine gray dust. Ajani, please. Ajani turned the bowl over in his hands. The ash fell from it as he turned it, revealing a dull, dark, hard material underneath. He wiped the grime away, and the surface shone a glittering black. His gold-white paw looked bluish and distended in the curve of the bowl. What is this thing? Oh, what is that thing? Asked Zaliki. As he wiped more ash away from the bowl, he noticed the traceries of interlocking shapes. They were scales. He had seen scales like them before. They weren't like the hides of the gargantuans. They weren't like the smooth silver of trout in the streams. They were dragon scales. I don't know, said Ajani. It's a bowl of some kind. But to hold what I don't know, perhaps it's a talisman, an artifact. It might be connected to the creatures that emerged that night. It's beautiful, she said. Why do you say that? I don't know. The way it shines, I guess. What's it made of? You wouldn't believe me if I told you, he muttered. Something that doesn't burn in fire, he said out loud. All the dragons he had seen on Jund were bright red. He wondered why the scales of the bowl were black. The object radiated foulness that Ajani found disconcerting. It seemed steeped in death. He wondered if Zaliki, a shaman, should feel the same sensation, or whether it was too otherworldly for her. Coom testing! Ah yes, the classic Coom test. Level 3 Coomer. Instead of Amy Schumer, it's Amy Coomer. You're a coom. I'm a coom, you're a coom, everywhere a coom. Let's see. Where are we? Otherworldly for... This thing feels strange. Do you feel it? Zaliki's eyes were blank, uncomprehending. No, what do you mean? She asked. It's all over my screen. Well, that's your fault for not aiming correctly or not having a towel over the splash zone. Oh boy. She wasn't feeling it, Mr. Krabs, which was a relief. He didn't want her to know of his terrifying experiences on the volcanic world. You! Or maybe he should tell her everything. Jund the dragon, Sarkon, being a planeswalker. I don't know, he said. Never mind, the scales are just strange. Ajani, I know this experience has been terrible for you, but I hope that one day you feel like you can move on. Ajani had wiped a streak of ash off the bowl. He looked into it and saw his own face, tinged with indigo, stretched across its surface. To find its source, he decided he would have to travel back to Jund. I'll be able to move on when I know the truth, he said. I won't rest until I know it, and bring justice to the one who caused all this. Well, I'm trying to move on, Ajani. I'm trying to live my life, and you should endeavor to do the same. Leave him be. He needs to be avenged, Zaliki. He doesn't need anything. He's gone, alright? He's gone. I know, but his spirit probably just wants you to forget about the whole thing. Jazal loved the pride more than anything, Ajani. Maybe his spirit would just want you to take his place as Ka. Did you ever think of that? We could use you around here. Think of your responsibilities. Ajani suppressed a low, guttural growl.
I'm counting on ye, soldier boy. Ba bum ba.
Oh, took me a second. I was like, what does Soldier Boy have to do? And then I saw the U. Every time I see the U like that, I don't think of Soldier Boy. I think of the episode of Game Grumps where Dan and Aaron are looking at Sonic comic book covers, and there's one where Sonic is like pointing toward the camera with like his determined angry face, and Aaron's just like, you! That's one of their best episodes they've ever done. It's so funny. Clean yourself up, Ajani. I can't be around you right now. She left him alone by the fire pit. As he handled the dragon scale bowl, flakes of ash spun in circles around his face. Was she right? Should he move on? Jazal was just a smear. Maybe he should leave it. Maybe he should just leave it be. He should be using the time to help the pride heal, to prevent Jazal's work from splintering apart. Maybe dwelling on his death was just obsessive. He moved a piece of burnt leather armor in the fire pit again. He couldn't help himself. His fingers were stained black. It was as if the pride had brought a pottery relic into the center of the village and smashed it to the ground right in the open square, leaving the pieces where they lay. I know who killed you, Jazal, he said. Do you know? Do you now? Said Jazal's voice. He's always wanted to be Ka, and he's always hated me. This is how you're going to serve my memory? You'll never rest otherwise, said Ajani. So neither can I. What remained of Jazal's body lay right there before him, in the fire pit, gray and crumbly. He couldn't let his brother remain like that. He looked side to side and reached into the fire pit once again. With both hands, he smudged his arms and legs with the ashes and dribbled them over his mane. He sank into the shadows of the forest to find Tenok. I guess the darkened spots on him are the ashes? I don't know. Yeah, dude's pulling a Kratos. The Presendental cover? What? What are you talking about? DMs. Oh. Dude's pulling a Kratos. He sure is. This is too upbeat for this book right now. It's not a great look for such a sad scene. Good old sea shanty, though. Scape sad. Alright, we're just about, I think at the end of this chapter we'll call it. We're about at the 2-hour mark. But we're back on Jund. We haven't heard hide nor hair from Bant in a while. Back on, wait, whose POV are we at? Okay. It's Raka and Nikol Balls. The dragon's silhouette broadened into a black shadow against the tumultuous scarlet cauldron of Jun's sky. The goblins chittered and scratched themselves excitedly. Sarkon realized that they weren't just itching, but rather they were piercing their own skin with their claws. "What are they doing?" asked Sarkon. "They're preparing themselves," said Raka. "Goblins consider it an honor to be devoured by almighty dragons, the greatest predators in the world. The scent of the goblin blood drives dragons into a frenzy. Watch." The dragon's wings blotted out the sky in great sweeps, blasting the mountaintop with gales of grit as he landed. He was immense, longer than any hellkite Sarkon had ever seen. His scales were lustrous black, but didn't behave the way he expected such a shine would. They reflected light in odd, distorted colors. The light of Jun's sky swam across the beast's body as a greenish-gold oil, slick instead of the smoky reds it should. Oh, no, wait. It might not be Nikol Bolas? I don't know. Hold on. The creature's feet touched down gently and precisely, a curiously fastidious gesture against the wisdom his wings had whipped up around them. His movements seemed surreal, as if the boundaries of his body cut holes in reality through which he passed. Every motion of his neck or twitch of his wings seemed to take eons to pass through space, and yet the dragon was moving as normally as the goblins or the shamans. Sarkon came to a realization. Raka's master, whether the elementalists knew it or not, was no mere dragon. He was a planeswalker, yep, and an immensely powerful one. Sarkon was gripped by a strange idea and felt awe in it despite its absurdity. Whereas Sarkon had walked the plains for years, the dragon planeswalker always remained perfectly still and traveled the plains by moving the multiverse around himself. The dragon folded his wings behind him and sat up, tenting his fingertips as he regarded the humanoids. He was strikingly regal. "Sarkon Vol, may I present my master, Nikol Bolas?" "Yep," said Raka. "It is a profound honor," said Sarkon. He found himself bowing, presenting the knuckles of his fists together under his chin, as his people did in the world of his home. Bolas grinned, his lips dragging away to reveal too many teeth. "It is I who am honored," he said. At the dragon's voice, the goblins cheered and clawed themselves. His eyes turned to Raka. "The deed is done?" he asked. She nodded. "It is. Sarkon was of great help in freeing the obelisk. His magic is broad and powerful." Bolas flexed the spikes on his cheeks. "Is that so? Well then." He looked over at Sarkon, his neck arching like a question mark. Kind of like that in the picture. Sarkon took great pride in the dragon's stare, the study of a predator sizing up prey. He knew a dragon of Bolas's age would not bother with trivial game. He was a fair match. Could the dragon finally be one worth his reverence? It might be. "You may go," said Bolas to Raka. She nodded, then turned and headed back down the hill without another word. The goblins were beside themselves with excitement, dancing around Bolas in a circle, chittering and peeping, clawing themselves with each other in a frenzy. Bolas looked down on them for the first time. Sarkon held his breath. Finally, he would see the ancient dragon unleash his fury on the suicidal goblins. Bolas took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, but with his mouth unexpectedly closed. His nostrils flared with the long, slow breath. He looked each goblin in the eyes, one at a time, his head turning around the circle. Where was the rage? Where was the ecstatic tumult of destruction? Where was the blast of fiery breath, like Sarkon had so often seen across Jund? Was the dragon really not going to feast? Then, one by one, the goblins wheezed a final sigh and slumped over onto the bare rock. They toppled like stacked dominoes with no apparent cause. If Bolas had used magic on them, it was as effortless as an eye blink. The goblins twitched as they lay still. A smile bloomed across Bolas's lips. Sarkon felt a bead of sweat travel down his back, which wasn't that strange given the volcanic miasma around them. Bolas didn't devour the bodies, but instead seemed to appreciate the shape of them around him in a circle. A few of them had pink tongues lolling out of their soracine mouths. The dragon turned his eyes back to Sarkon, and Sarkon felt the weight of the stare like two swords pressed against his chest. The creature was the apex of dragonkind, he realized. He had come to Jund, a world full of dragons, only to meet his ideal dragon from far beyond the world. He had come to Jund to seek the worthiest specimen of life he could find, and found it in an avatar of death. Itchy. Oh. What kind of goblins are they? They're not the cute bimbo-y kind, if that's what you're wondering. Don't you want to go ape shit, right? Yeah, they're like the furry-esque goblins. Do I have any pictures of the goblins on Alara? I don't actually know. I do not. At least they're not mind goblins. I think you mean mind goblins, and in that case I have a question. Do you mind goblin these nuts? Oh boy. Anyway. I think we're almost done. Yeah, we're almost done. Beat you to it. You didn't even say it right, though. It's not M-I-N-E, it's M-I-N-D. As in D's nut. It's not a party until the Mind Goblin comes out. Okay. I know I did it to make you correct me. No, my own hubris. No, not the 4D chess. Oh man, that's a good bit. I like that. All right, let's see. Raka tells me you're a shaman and a warrior, said Bolas. I am, but not one from this world. Is it that plain? Your scent doesn't match Jun's, and your spark is apparent to me. The comment was innocent enough, but Sarkon got the impression that Bolas had just called his soul delectable. I came here to seek a worthy dragon. I believe I have found him. Good, then I have a mission for you, Planeswalker, said Bolas. Ever since he had watched his warriors die in a gout of dragonfire, Sarkon had wished for a dragon that lived up to his capacity for honor. He hadn't expected that he would hear the realization of his wish in the form of words spoken by a dragon, as if by a man, but folded and hissed using a tongue normally used to lick flame. But those words were exactly what he had lived to hear. There is a war. There's a war on, said Bolas. I need every planeswalker I can get to ensure my victory. I'm your weapon, said Sarkon. Bolas pointed a finger, then used that claw to slash a line in his opposite palm. He reached down and presented the bloody hand to Sarkon. The gesture moved Sarkon. He pulled a curving knife from his belt and slashed his own palm. The wounds touched each other. Sarkon's hand was tiny against the dragon's huge claw. Sarkon's human heart pumped rapidly, and the dragon's much slower, but their lives mingled in a flow of crimson. I know of another planeswalker, said Sarkon. And that will be it for that chapter, and the end of this week's read-through of Alara Unbroken. I always devolve into Paul Lind, whose voice would later inspire Roger from American Dad. So if you ever wanted to know the real-life exterminate... No. What? This ain't Doctor Who. Although now that you mention it, I would love to buy some of the old Doctor Who novels. I feel like that'd be really fun. Ow! Oh, God, I hate when that happens. I have the kind of stuffy note. Do it. Hell yeah, brother. I need to look into some of the novels that they have. They're probably a lot. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, we're going to end it for this evening. I want to see who I'd like to raid. Also, I have the kind of stuffy nose where, Penny Parker, the baby. I have the kind of stuffy nose where, oh, what the fuck is it? As, where, like, whenever you try to sniffle to get the mucus to go back down, whenever you sniffle, it feels like there's fucking water in your nose. I fucking hate that shit. It's annoying as hell. It just stays there. What just stays there? What are you talking about? Nothing as expensive as the audio drama vinyls. It just stays there. No, no, it's not that it stays there. Like I said, the micas. I don't know about that. I've been able to get rid of it by swallowing it. The stomach acid eats away at it. Dissolves it. The mucus. 9H. Anyway, let's see who I would like to raid this evening. Okay. Distracted by stuff. Oh boy. Oh boy. Itchy. Alrighty. Wow, Vebe. Chibidoki. Lee and Lai. Oh, man. I really wish people weren't playing fucking Marvel Rivals. It combines two things that I have no interest in. Alright, so I'm either gonna raid Queen Keeks or Sienna Goat. If I can't raid Keeks, I'll raid Sienna. Because Sienna is an absolute gem. And Keeks is spectacular. Nope, alrighty, Sienna Goat it is. And Sienna is playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, baby. What does a martial artist say when he's overnight at an all-you-can-eat buffet asking him to leave? What? Bro, what are you talking about? Alright. Namaste. Hey, got him. Alright. Thank you, Cosme, for popping in. I appreciate that. And I appreciate anyone else who happened to pop in for just a moment. I will see y'all next Tuesday, Christmas Eve, to finish Parasite Eve. What are the fucking odds of that? I love that it turned out that way. That's fucking fantastic. I work. That sucks, brother. But get that bread, and it's all good, buddy. It'll be all right. You'll be all right. I'll be here when you get back. I'm always here. Anyway, be excellent to each other, because this is all we got, and be excellent to yourself, because that's the only body that you got. Say hi to Sienna. She's very bimbo core, and I love her design and outfit. It's so fucking cute. I love me some bimbo core. We appreciate Bimbo Core around here. Anyway, I'll see y'all next Tuesday, and have a happy holidays in case something happens and I can't make stream. Until then, bye-bye! Like, comment, subscribe.